So, hello, hello. I'm Alex Levin. We're here to plumb the depths of our own within-ness. Let me read you a quote from Erich Schiffmann, one of my dear friends who's also a yoga teacher and does a lot of therapeutic teaching. She and I were saying we can't get through a teaching a class without feeling like where Erich Schiffmann's voice is in our head, his words, his practice, his transmissions have been so powerful. He's got a lot of short phrases that are super powerful. But the little quote I'm going to read you in a moment was from an email he shared. And he has a book that's fabulous book to have on asana is great, but also a lot about the philosophy and meditation aspect of yoga without getting jargony. He's very plain spoken. So his book is called Yoga, the Spirit and Practice of Moving into Stillness, and that's what I'm really interested in here today, one of the things this segment. And we're here together in Sun and Moon Yoga Studios portal, and we'll have about a half an hour together. The practice we'll do, the movement will be a yin pose, a couple energetic movements, and then a yin pose. Seated, some floor space is a good idea. It'll just be a forward fold. We'll be breathing in and uh, and if you want to do this in a lying down position, I can talk you through that on your side. Probably not standing, but either sitting or lying down will work. Lying on your back. So, one friend shared a kind of a pickle situation she was in with Eric, who she's corresponds with, and among the wisdom he wrote back was this one quote that I think can point us to what we might do whenever we find ourselves in a situation of really difficult dilemma or just can't find a solution, or how do we respond. So he writes, the only thing you need to do is use this circumstance as the dynamic that it is, and as you are doing, simply get as clear as you can be about what you think is happening within the withinness of your own mind, within the withinness of your own mind. So, in a sense, to get still enough to see what is happening in our mind and what is happening in our, I would say, in our own senses and our body is so important. And folding in the emotional components, folding in the physical sensory components, so informs us, so brings our own gifts and strengths and uh, to bear, that we can bring them up. And often those are things that we might have seen as faults or flaws. And if you'll indulge me a second, let me see if I can find this easily. My teacher, Russell Delman, who I often mention a lot also, he mentions this poem by Rumi. Actually, I'll have to get it for you. I'll read it in a little while. It's on this laptop that I'm recording from. Alrighty, so let's begin to settle. Settle where you are, arrive. And how do we do that? We can become conscious of what it is we do to arrive. Not not like we have to memorize it or take notes, but just to be conscious of it. Is there something we do? I like to remember the phrase that Christine Clardy used, our sometimes Wednesday evening meditation teacher that you can sign up on her for Zoom with her in the fall, I believe, through Zoom, is to how do we grease the gate, oiling the gate? How do we get in? Sometimes it's joining a guidance like this one. Part of that, part of it might be um, attending to our breath. So let's attend to our breath, or you may be using some other techniques. And for this portion, I would say you don't need to worry about sitting tall or the particular correctness of your posture, but rather just feel yourself in this space. So there's this ground and space around element of how we hold ourselves, and do we need to hold ourselves quite this much? Could we find the release into the feel of the ground? And as we're doing this, we may and noticing our breath, you may start to feel how your jaw is given permission to relax, your lower back, your belly, your eyes relax. Arriving and sensing what, as we get quieter and quieter, what thought streams come in, and those could be memories, planning, worries, stories, fantasies, hopes, dreams. And then what I'd like to do, and you can keep that going. Hopefully, we're partly feeling that we're more here now. Is the three thumps from Donna Eden, and I'm going to start with thumps, or I'm going to start with rubbing. If you feel underneath your collarbones, a couple inches out laterally, a little indentation could be that deep indentation that's further out, or the closer one that's really only about 2 inches. You can go. I think you can go to the one that's about 4 inches. So either one. And these are all this area is helpful to release lymphatically, and these are kidney points on the meridian, the kidney meridian, and just I'm rubbing, so rubbing little circles. It's also useful to cross your hands or your forearms. I'm going to take the unusual cross, and you can also thump, like make little beaks with your fingers and thump for about a minute. All right, the next, and then release that for a moment. Take a breath. The next one is about halfway down the breastbone. And again, rubbing here or thumping. Me Tarzan, I think she said something like that for this. Rubbing here, and you may find that it's a little sensitive or a lot sensitive. That's good. That means you found the point that's maybe a bit tight, uh, or a lot tight, blocked up, bound. Hmm. Let that go, and notice maybe already you feel something feels different in the way you feel yourself, your own presence. And then I go about feeling the diagonality of the lower ribs here and along the bands of about halfway between my side and my front center. Find a point on the lower ribs, and these can also be sensitive a little bit, a little, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Tender, and rubbing or thumping is fine as well. These are on the, neurolymphatic, highways, um, I believe, if I'm remembering, for the mm, mm-mm, I'm forgetting, I wanna say spleen, but I'm not sure that's correct. Have to brush up, but I always find doing these 3 thumps first thing in the morning is great, but anytime can just help you get more present, kinda clear out a stagnant feeling in your body, in your digestion, your mind. Okay, let's let that be. And then the pose I'd like to share for a few moments, maybe we'll hold it for about 3 minutes, and I'll guide you to how to be in this, pose in a way that it keeps that you stay comfortable. It's important for that. If yin poses are new to you especially, take it gently. So, we could start out in, the yoga pose, Baddha Konasana or butterfly pose, cobbler pose, sometimes it's called, with the soles of the feet together. Just get back so you can see me. And but they come out in front of you, so it's more of a diamond shape rather than the effort of bringing the heels close in. My shoulders are a little tight in this blouse. So, like I said, about 3 minutes. So we start to just fold forward, and you might round the back, or you might keep the front body longer. If you notice, those 2 different ways of doing this are going to be, feel different in the body. If you round your back, the stretches will be in certain areas, the deeper stretches, and if you keep more open in the front body, more of a hinge from the hip joint, it'll be the stretches will be in a different place. So, and you really don't need to worry about correct alignment here. Just more relax. However, what I do like to do for keeping yourself from going too deep. So we've been in this about 38 seconds, and we've got more than 2 minutes to go. So you want to stay in a comfort zone. And so all the parts touching the ground, so my hands, the sides of my feet, my pelvis, upper legs, sides legs, imagine pushing with them. It doesn't have to be much, just a little push, and then releasing. And you could also sort of just lean into all those parts. Just lean into them. And by leaning or pushing, we create a little bit of a lift, the opposite action. And if you like, so you can use that in a mini pulsating way with the breath, perhaps, or you can just kind of lean and support yourself by the framework that you can feel, like the framework of a house that you can feel holding you, the bones, the structure. And if you like, which I love to do, is bow your head so that we're actually again working with the kidney meridian that goes all along the inside edges of the legs and up the front body, and the bladder meridian. It's complementing meridian and the back body that goes all the way up the back of the legs, back of the back of the neck, over the top of the head, and it ends at the eyebrows. And breathe. We're already 2 minutes and some into this. We could actually stay a bit longer. Maybe we will. If it gets too intense, remember you've got tools to back off, and it's really, really valuable to use those tools. Remembering I need to keep speaking up. Breathing, just letting your observation, your attention. Lightly note whatever is coming into the field of your experience. That's about 3 minutes. I'm gonna come up a little bit out of the posture, just halfway out. If you want, you can stay deep in it, or you can come all the way out or part way out. The stretch on my outer legs is enough, so I'm gonna release. And you can join me in the release or join me in a few moments. I'm actually gonna change my seated position. And as you come out of it, just again, be the recipient of your experience. What is it you're noticing? And maybe even more important, so that quote of Eric's of noticing the within-ness of your own mind. Um, I would complement that by this practice of paying attention as we're doing whatever we're doing. We notice the specific experiences and our own qualities and needs and sensations and feelings, but also we start to become aware of who we are prior to all of that. As my teacher said, my your face before your parents were born, um, and that is um, kind of a curious thing, isn't it? I'm looking for that other poem. Of your face before your parents were born. That you that sometimes we get close to, and what it often feels like is emptiness or vastness or love. You'll have your own experience of it, and often what we feel there is how do I sometimes we feel afraid of it and we pop out, and then we also feel, sometimes we love it. We recognize it, we, enjoy it, and we wanna know, "How do I keep it?" And often that is the moment that we lose it. The way to keep it is do nothing. The way to keep it is revisit often. Just, like, open the door to that experience of the one who is knowing, the one who is watching, the one who is seeing, and it is only available in the present. And it is our mind that takes us to the past or the future. And the mind is right here as well. But if we can let ourselves not be so attached to believing the mind, we can sink into that presence, that doorway to ourself with a capital S. So let's shift into meditation that may be very available for you exactly where you are. Oh, I forgot to give the instructions for if you were laying down. I'm so sorry. That would have been the same shape, but laying on your back. So maybe you don't need any shifting around, or maybe just a little bit of shifting and support. I'm getting something under my knee. Pose, and our sit will be about 8 minutes. And I'll read the poem by Rumi. I might have shared this recently. As you settle and re-arrive if you need to, or just continue on the wave of your being. You suppose that you are the trouble, but really you are the cure. You suppose that you are the lock in the door, but you really are the key that opens it. It's too bad you want to be someone else. You don't see your own face, your own beauty, yet no one's face is more beautiful than yours. And so any of the cues that I've shared so far and are arriving and noticing can be applied for this stillness and silence of sitting, which you can also do from lying on your back or standing, walking, not when it's not stillness, but simply being here, or to bring you back when you find your mind has hijacked you, taken you on some trip to the past or the future. Note your breath, note the feel of your body touching whatever it's touching. Note the availability of support and relaxation. Breath. And from time to time, at least, be available to your own presence that is prior to everything else. You might notice how you treat yourself as something happens in your mind and your experience, and you respond perhaps with condescension or meanness or punishment, or perhaps with kindness and understanding, forgiveness. Perhaps relax the upper palate of the mouth, almost letting it expand like the dome of the sky. Perhaps inviting a little bit more relaxation in the shoulders or the belly, or the eyes. A few more breaths together. Thank you so much for joining me, joining us. Please do check sunandmoonstudio.com for ways to connect with us and deepen your own practice and support your path, your joy. And one more note from Erich Schiffmann on this clarity and on what is happening within us and on who we are, and that the who we are, that vastness, when we, so if he says, if we have a decision to make, then you're not clear. When there's no decision, you know you're clear. So, and get clear, really often what the world around us teaches is get busy in your mind, figure it out, get analytical. All those are good and helpful, but we also need time to set aside to sink back into the vastness and source of ourself. And that almost always in my experience, when I remember to do that, I get the clear, the um, resonant instruction of what to do next, how to be. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you here next week. Ciao, ciao. Be well.